Hello, I'm David Hunt and welcome to my little bit as part of Bent TV. My guest today, amazing. She's absolutely incredible. The stuff she does is wonderful. You're going to find out all about it. Innovative artist manager with about 30 years in the biz. Oh, she's young still. She's really young. Experience as an executive director, producer, general manager, board member across a diverse range of theatre sectors, including women's theatre, disability section, regional and ensemble theatre. So many wonderful things to talk about there, including TheatreWorks, where she currently is, Red Stitch. We all know Red Stitch, a famous institution here in Melbourne, the Women's Circus and Roller Coaster Theatre. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce today here on this wonderful little radio show, TV show, Dianne Toulson. Hello.
Hello, David.
And welcome.
Thank you.
Now, congratulations on a brilliant career already.
Yeah, when you say 30 years, it feels like yesterday, but it is a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about you as a kid. You know, like, were you, you know, like, what were you doing as a kid?
As a kid, I lived in the country and we would get up in the morning and Mum would throw us a piece of toast and say, get out the house and go. And I would get on my push bike and ride to you know, stud farms where I work or a dairy farm where I'd work as, you know, from about 8 years old on.
Yeah.
And I'd ride and disappear for days on end with a tent.
Did you? Yeah. How old?
10 years old,
What?
You know, yeah.
And your mother was fine with that?
Mum and Dad were fine, you know. I'd tell them where I was going.
Oh,
and,
okay.
You know, I'd ride 20 or 30 Ks. And
by yourself or?
Sometimes with friends, yeah. And just, I was pretty wild, to be honest, and had a lot of fun.
Nothing ever, you know, like terrible happened?
No, nothing terrible.
A
I was safe.
Didn't attack you or?
No, I was very safe. I think I had a couple of memories from back then. One was pulling a dead calf out of a cow while it was birthing. I was a part of that. And that was a bit of a shock as a, you know, young kid.
Yeah.
And the other one was shooting rabbits.
Right.
So that was up until I was about 12 or 13 years old. And then we had a family impact with my sister becoming an epileptic and having quite severe health issues. So the family packed up to move to the city, and I think that was a big transition for me to go from being a wild kid that did whatever they wanted and played so much sport, you know, played every sport that there was possible. And moving to the city was very unknown. And I then became quite a shy person.
Oh, okay. That's, yeah, I could understand that. Because, you know, country, and especially the life that you were leading, and city life, it's very, very different.
The people were different. You know, we led a very sheltered life down in a small country town, and it was not culturally diverse. So there was a lot of education around that. And also I looked more male than female at the time. You know, Dad would give me the bowl haircut. So I'd go to school and they'd say, are you a boy or a girl? Because I played so much sport. I was on the boys' cricket team, I was on the boys' footy team. And because I was so good, they let me do it. It was a big change. So I think I became quite shy and introverted from there.
Talking about the city being Melbourne, was it Melbourne?
The outer suburbs, yeah.
Okay. So how old were you then? You're like
I was about 12 or 13 when we moved. Yeah.
So where did the interest for the arts come from? You know, like considering it probably wasn't rearing its head in the
I had no exposure to any sort of cultural. I was in a school play once, and that's when I realised I should never go on stage. I was the chimpanzee and I had to sing a song called I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts. And I was so proud, and I had white clothing and I made myself a big tail out of a stuffed stocking with newspaper, and everyone was on the stage and I had to do a rollover. And I stood up like this and was so proud, and then I realised what was between my legs sticking out and the whole audience laughing, and I thought, I'll never go on stage again. So yeah, that was my experience. But no, I had no... my parents weren't, no connection to the arts or to any sort of theatre or cultural experience other than listening to old records all the time. My mum would listen to a lot of music, Johnny Cash and all those things, and I was a mad Elvis fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I found out he died, I cried, but I never actually knew who he was, but I was very sad. So yeah, it was sort of nothing at all. And then my career didn't start at all in the arts. When I was 18, I started my own security business. So I ran a security company for a few years. And
Why?
you know, you get in relationships and you sort of take on what's happening. And my partner at the time was a security guard, and I just thought, let's start our own security business, and that became quite successful.
Right. Oh, good on you.
Yeah, and then I had the opportunity to buy a childcare centre through Family Connections.
Oh, that wouldn't be a good thing right now.
Just before the government came in with all the money, and I bought my first childcare centre, and I ended up owning 3.
So you're good at running organisations.
Yeah, so my
obviously.
skill set really is business,
Yeah.
financial and business strategy and marketing and all that sort of thing. So that's really where my skill set is.
Within the arts, it's real. Like, it's good to be the creative, which you're very on the creative side, but have those skills. You know, like that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
and
like,
that's where I see my benefit to the organisations I work for. Generally, all the jobs that I've had, I've gone into whether in financial strife, they're stuck either financially or artistically. And that's where my mind works, you know, high detail, but I'm also, you know, can drill down into the issues and the detail and try and work it out. So that's really where my skill set lies, is in business management. So I still had no connection to the arts until my probably mid-30s.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And how did that happen?
I had a friend that was doing the Commonwealth Games, and they
Here in Melbourne?
here in Melbourne, and they'd asked me at the time. I started doing a few little events, and they said to me, "Oh, do you want this job of designing the whole concept for this whole big shopping centre?" And I said, "Me? I've never done anything like that before." She goes, "Look, I'm desperate. Can you just do it?" So I did that, and it was sort of, it was a bit of a drug.
Tell us, what do you mean, the whole concept for a shopping centre?
Like the visual design and the performances and everything that happened to activate this whole shopping centre space.
Oh, right, like, to make it part of the Commonwealth Games, was it? Oh, okay, I didn't realise things like that happened outside. Because I volunteered at the Commonwealth Games, and I was on, you know, their arena, you know, like holding back the athletes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, councils try and activate their area when things like that happen.
Okay.
And she worked in council, and that was sort of a bit of an opening to that. And then...
Did you still have your childcare centres at that stage?
Yeah, I was still doing that. And that was really interesting. But, you know, again, bad relationship choices. And then I... went to an event, and I met the owner of the event and chatted to him, and he said, "Look, you know, come and have a chat to me. I've got a good feeling." And I did, and he was in financial trouble, and he said, "Can you help me with the book?" So I started working for him, sorting out his business issues. And then I started going to more events, and then I started helping at the events and volunteering or taking up the infrastructure of the events, the production and all that sort of thing, you know, the brain. And it sort of grew from there, and I started running his events for him, and then started doing some of my own events. And it sort of, you know, just exploded from that. And I got into a new relationship, and my partner then, of that time, who's still my partner now, 17 years later, said to me, "You got to stop bumming around doing events. You need to get a real job." And I said, "Oh, I'm all right, you know, I'll be all right." And she said, "No, you need to get a job, you know, you're wasting your talent." And a friend of hers sent her the job, the general manager of the Women's Circus, and said, "Look, Dianne would be great for this." And I said, "I don't know anything about circus or anything in that field." And she said, "You know, you should just apply." And I applied, and they gave me the job, and I walked in and went, "I don't know what to do, but I'll work it out."
Yeah.
So that was it. That opened the doors.
That's a good thing, because at the end of the day, the person, you know, like running it doesn't, you know, because you've got your creative people doing that. So a smart move, but obviously then you got more involved the more you know, like you were there.
It takes a while to get your foot in the door and understand. And I think, you know, the skill that I have is to sit back and watch and learn, and to engage with people on a human level. And the Women's Circus was, particularly them, and still probably is, a very complicated and complex arts organisation because of the diversity and the women's element of it. was at the time political because gender diversity was just coming in. So it was a wild ride, and I really loved it. And it shifted my head around what Circus was, but it also was a great experience in looking at how an arts organisation runs and how they financially have to balance everything and survive.
Yep.
And they were certainly in that position when I went in.
With the Women's Circus, could you actually go to classes there? Was that the idea, and build your skills, or were they people from like organisations where they were specially trained in circus?
No, it was a community about women, and about women of all backgrounds, but a big element was women that needed support, or women of backgrounds where they'd been exposed to violence or, variations of that. So it was a community that within that community at the time ran classes for all these women to support them to feel better about themselves or to upskill. There were a lot of professional circus women there that were trainers and riggers and everything like that. So they were imparting their knowledge, but it was about the community and the safety of that.
Yeah, how lovely.
It was incredible, and it still is an incredible organisation for that.
I find a community organisation like that so important, so vital for us to live in the wider communities, don't you?
Absolutely, and I think that's what the arts does best, and that's why when that door opened and I walked into the Women's Circus not knowing a thing about circus or arts organisations, the community element and the outcomes that I saw for the women, that would have had a very different life had they not been there, was really important. I look at the circuses around Australia at the moment, and there are women that started there and that have progressed to a full-on circus career, which is really important. But the reality is they're still there as a community offering physical and mental and emotional support for women that need it.
From all the different organisations you're part of, and this is where I'm going, younger people and volunteering, I find it so crucial and so important that young people are volunteering. If they can see they want to be an actor, or if they want to be a producer or a circus performer, the best way to do it is to go to one of the organisations like TheatreWorks. I'm sure you must have volunteers that help out there. Because you've got to have that bit of experience, don't you?
You do. And, there's a fine line. It used to be that we would have lots and lots of volunteers. Volunteerism is shrinking in a little bit because of the complexities of, having to have insurance and manage and all that sort of thing and create workspace that, cares for the volunteer. So it is a complex thing, but it is vital and important for arts organisations to have that level of volunteerism. To give the opportunity, like we get a lot of students coming in that can't afford a ticket, and we get them to usher at the door, and it takes them 15 minutes. They scan a ticket and they get to see the show for free, and that's really important because it's giving them an exposure to different art form that they can't afford because they're paying exorbitant rates for education. So volunteerism is what supports and underpins a lot of arts organisations.
So where did you go from Women's Circus?
I went from Women's Circus to Red Stitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, just explain to our audience what Red Stitch is, because I just love Red Stitch and I love what they do and how famous they are.
Yeah. So Red Stitch is an ensemble-led theatre company that produce a season of curated works.
Right. Now, when you say ensemble, so it's all the actors that actually, it's their company per se.
Yes, per se. They have a board and they have a director or I don't know what Ella title is, I would say director, Ella Caldwell, who leads the ship. But the actors and creatives, designers, the ensemble get together and it's up to them to work out what they're doing and who they are. So it's a very unique model. They all have a collective voice, and I've sat through some really interesting meetings there because, the best form of outcome is to interrogate what you do, and they certainly do that. But they lead it with curating the work, selecting the work, building opportunities for new and emerging artists, but they're very strong in their writers, the Australian writing, the ink program that underpins the new work that they bring out and the writers that they support is very unique in Australia.
The reputation it has around Australia. On Sunday Arts, my program on Joy, the amount of actors I know that have come to Melbourne because of places like Red Stitch.
Absolutely, and that's sort of like aspirational for theatre actors and actresses, and it's the inspiration to be one day at Red Stitch performing or a part of the ensemble.
Yep.
It is a big draw card, and it is a lot of actors have commenced really brilliant careers from there.
The other side of it is that the actors that are part of the ensemble, they've still got to audition in a way for their role, and quite often another actor's brought in from the outside too, and directors as well.
And that's how they feed the ecosystem
Yep.
of theatre in Australia, by bringing in the outside or casting, what is it? Authentic casting. So instead
Yes.
of just saying, oh, we have to put an ensemble member in there, they cast authentically. So if someone in the ensemble is not right and they've chosen that piece of work, they go outside and look for that person.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they also do some amazing pieces of work that are international, like pieces of theatre, and as you said, a lot of local as well. I know Joanna Murray-Smith just had one of her pieces performed there the other month, who's a famous Australian playwright. So how was that? Because that would be very different to circus.
Women's circus.
Circus folk.
Look, it was an interesting appointment as well, because I didn't actually know much about theatre. So I went in, and when someone said the word dramaturg, I had to Google it, like, what is a dramaturg? And that's embarrassing to say that, but that's the reality. It was a challenge because, at that point as well, they were financially struggling and trying to work out how do they survive the uniqueness of what they do and preserve that and have a future. So I think, in my time there, that I really supported that and helped them to find a new direction. I was integral in the ink program in, visualising that with the team there and enacting that. So I feel really proud that they've done incredible things with that. And it was a learning curve, because having so many voices in the room when you're used to being the only one.
Yep.
And sitting in meetings. And
Oh, that can be touching.
Oh, it was interesting.
And everyone wants their say as well.
Yeah. And I'm quite a passive person, so I'll sit back and let it go. But it was really interesting. But I think when you interrogate things like that, you're mostly going to get it right, because everyone's thought about it, and there were clashes, of course, but out of those clashes comes good work, and I think their model's unique. So it was a really good experience for me to learn how they worked, but also to learn about theatre. But ultimately, I was there to sort out the financial and business aspect of it, which is what I did very well.
On the side as well, you actually put on events.
Yeah.
And that's where you actually said to me off camera that's where you make your money, because you're putting on events. So what is it that keeps you, because that can be hard work, can't it? Organising and then making sure the people are going to come, and that risk all the time.
I think COVID was a learning experience for anyone in the
yes.
arts or in events. Things shut down. It was like an iron door shutting, and to have your income just cut off like that was really impactful, and it leaves you with debt as well, and that's what people don't talk about. If you're running events or a theatre company or anything, really, you're planning 1 to 2 years ahead, so you're outlaying money in advance. And at that point, I had a big festival that I was producing, and I'd paid venue hires right across the board. I'd paid international airfares and artists, and it was a big shutdown. And then, working out what support was there was hard, and it was very limited. I think for TheatreWorks, it was actually, a double-edged sword. COVID wasn't good for anyone, but the reality was that we had more money than we'd ever had.
Yeah.
And it gave us a chance to stop, reset, rethink who we were, and work out a financial future and have the government support to do that through the JobKeeper and Job Seeker was incredible.
Now, let's talk about TheatreWorks. You're currently there, and it's doing extremely well under your guidance. They've even built it. I live around the corner from it, so I know the building very well. There's even a new building on the side street. What is TheatreWorks?
It's been really interesting 8 years there, nearly 8 years I've been there.
I can't believe it.
I know.
can remember doing an interview with you when you first went there.
Yeah,
I thought it was about 3 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, it feels like yesterday, to be honest. What is TheatreWorks? I had to work that out when I came in. Before, a couple of years before I went in, Daniel Clark was there, and he lifted that organisation up to be creatively incredibly robust and valuable. The programming that he did and the support and work that he gave to artists was just unbelievable, and the outcomes were amazing. And then he decided to leave. I don't actually know why he left, but he's built an incredible career from there. He's been all over Australia and now he's in New Zealand. So he is an absolute mover and shaker, and I believe that TheatreWorks was his foundation for that. What he did there was something that built him a reputation as well as being a leader and a visual creative.
And also, I just want to say to viewers the sheer fact that TheatreWorks is in the parish hall of a church on Ackland Street in St Kilda.
And I think that was part of the attraction for me when I actually hunted this job down. I've never done that before.
Okay.
It was interesting when I saw Daniel leave, and I was at Red Stitch and I had such a passion for TheatreWorks. Like, I would go there and see works that you would never have seen anywhere else and walk out the door and go, I still remember some of them today and have conversations around those works today. And I think when Daniel was there and they had a clear direction and leadership, everyone knew what TheatreWorks was. But there's still been a misconception from then forward that we're a venue for hire, and we are not that. Although in the hiatus after Daniel left, the couple of years where the board and people involved made decisions around, tried to work out what to do next. And that was based on Daniel programmed heavily, and then they thought programming heavily wasn't sustainable, so they reduced the programming and therefore reduced the income and therefore reduced the capacity of the organisation to financially survive. So it was a lesson there that you have to program a lot, and then you have to find the balance in the quality and the opportunity for the artists in the content of what you're programming. And that was a long, slow road to learn that. I went in 2017, and it was financially very bad, and close to closing, I would say. And it took a lot of sheer determination, but a lot of sacrifice too. I mean, within a month after I walked in and started sorting things out, all the staff left, and I was left with one staff member and myself. And that was partially because they didn't want to be there anymore, and also we couldn't afford to keep them. So it was a matter of building back from there. And, the platform I had at Red Stitch gave me access to artists and access to work. And that was a huge benefit. It also gave me relationships with artists and producers. It was a really difficult time. What I have forgotten to say is after I left Red Stitch, there was a little bit of a hiatus between there and TheatreWorks. I went to the Ararat Performing Arts Centre and worked on the redevelopment and the programming at Ararat Performing Arts Centre. That was a bit of a sojourn for me. My youngest son had been assaulted and had a brain injury, and I needed time to stop and reset and sort out his life.
Wow.
So that was sort of like, I'll go up to the country and have an experience up there. So I was up there for 2 years, and I did the redevelopment of performing arts and the gallery up there. So yeah, so coming back to TheatreWorks, I chased the job. I saw Daniel left and I contacted the chair of the board and said, I really want this job. I want to come back to Melbourne and help you get it back on track.
The wonderful thing about it is, again, I've interviewed so many of the little companies that perform there and use the space. Cutting edge stuff. Cutting edge is what TheatreWorks is all about now, isn't it? You know, it really is, although there's just been a highly successful about an army a soldier.
So, yeah, you know, the thing with the programming is, for us to survive, we need all sorts of audience. And we've been very focused in that build-up period to emerging and the cutting edge and the work that you won't see anywhere else, and supporting the artists, that, you know, the mid-career artists as well. But I have to find the financial balance in the programming, and we have to do work that's going to have a financial return.
Of course.
Plays like Soldier Boy that's just been on wouldn't be something you would normally see at TheatreWorks, but we applied to get plays on playlists, and surprisingly this year we had 4 plays on playlists and Soldier Boy was one of them.
Right. Now, the wonderful thing is that when these independent companies come to you, and when I say independent, it's usually 1 or 2 people that are running these tiny little companies, like tell them how do you do a deal with them? What do they get out of it? What do you get out of it?
So it's actually a partnership, and what TheatreWorks does is underpin the financial risk and, you know, some of the production risks for those artists so they can concentrate on making the work and putting the work on stage. So our co-producing model is where we provide them the venue, no hire fee. We provide them technical support, no fee. We pay all the bills. We do all the marketing. We do all the ticketing. We do all the publicity. And we help them through the process of coming into the theatres.
Well, hold on. Well, where do you make any money?
So we have what is called a box office split. So we give them all that.
What,
as
the
a part
box
of
office?
No, all the things.
Oh, all the
so
things,
the value, the actual. So those things actually cost us money. Like we pay rent, we pay electricity.
Yeah.
So our investment in each show is a minimum of $21,000 that we pay out.
Whoa.
So, you know, the reality is that it's a risk. But we then do a box office split. So the artist gets 60 or 70%, and we take the 40 or 30%.
But is that enough?
No, it's not enough. And that's why you see me fundraising and looking for money all the time. And
what about grants? It must be harder and harder getting grants.
I have always been of the belief, and I will say this over and over, if I build it, they will come, but it hasn't worked quite. I know, I just, you know, that's been my motto, and I've got to stop saying it because it just hasn't worked. You know, I thought everything we've done over COVID and these last few years will get us federal funding, and it hasn't. We don't even get through the first round. They see us as too Melbourne-centric, even though, you know, all of our artists can come from all around Australia or around the world, and the opportunities we give to emerging and new artists is incredible, but we haven't been able to tap that door, and we're locked out now for another 4 years.
Whoa.
We receive $147,000 from Creative Victoria, and we've had that same amount for 15 years with no increase.
Whoa.
And
what about the City of Port Phillip?
When I first came in, TheatreWorks wasn't getting any funding, and I took on Daniel's fight because at Red Stitch I was fighting as well to get funding. We eventually got a 3-year pool of funding of $30,000, and then that was reduced down to $26,000 in the last round, and it's up for renewal now. So it's not much when you compare it to the other, what else happens in the arts in City of Port Phillip, where the arts funding goes.
Yeah.
You know, millions of dollars to the St Kilda Festival and Gasworks. And
don't talk to me about that St Kilda Festival. Like the locals don't like it.
They hate it, and everything shuts down. All the locals shut down because you can't do anything on those days.
No. Or go away.
Yeah.
Like all my neighbours go away.
Yeah.
So here you are. Like, how much longer can you retain doing this? You've got another 10 years in you?
Definitely not. 10 years definitely for work. I will never stop working. I think I thrive on working. And, you know, I pretty much work 7 days a week. And then during festival season, I run a festival outside of my theatre job. I will work, you know, 80, 100 hours a week. But I love doing it, but it is getting a little bit harder. I'm a believer that if you're a leader in the arts, you should know the time to leave. And I keep saying it's my time. But I think I've worked really hard to bring people into the TheatreWorks fold and develop them professionally to be able to take on my role or to be able to take on other roles. I've had some brilliant artists and directors that have worked as associate artists within TheatreWorks, and I am a believer of career building for people, so imparting my knowledge and experience, and I think through that there are probably 10 people that could possibly take my job.
Right, okay.
The biggest issue I think for any arts organisation is finding someone that understands the artistic outcome with the financials, and that's the hard thing to impart.
That's a hard thing, yeah.
And that's something that comes naturally to me.
Yep.
So when I leave in the very near future, I would
10 years, people.
I would probably go into a board position and still try and build that knowledge around financial management. But I know artistically there is an opportunity for TheatreWorks to look differently and do a collective model of programming, which is something that I've pushed for in the time that I've been there.
Yeah.
And something that I did instigate over COVID and post-COVID.
Yep.
The issue that we had was we couldn't afford to keep paying the wages to keep the people in the building. So we lost a lot of incredible knowledge, but I'm hoping that there's still the umbilical cord is there and they'll come back.
Yep, yep. And the other thing is that, you know, like all of a sudden in the last couple of years, little cafes popped up.
When you're under so much financial pressure, you have to look at diversity of income. And the cafe has been an incredible contribution to that. The biggest outcome and the most important reason for the cafe is to connect us with our neighbours and to build relationships so we can sell more tickets and so we can get them on board when, if the council defunds us, we'll get the action group in, you know, things like that. And that has worked tenfold. It has been incredible. It's boosted our annual turnover by over $200,000 a year. Yep.
Whoa.
It comes at a cost. We employ artists to work there, which is we create jobs for artists.
Great.
But we don't make much money out of it. But what we do get, we get return on investment through the passion from our neighbours and new audience, and therefore sometimes donors.
Yep.
And it just makes the whole area so vibrant and feel like an art space that's contributing. And I think they're more valuable than money, even though the money side of it helps.
Congratulations on your brilliant career of what you've done. It's just brilliant. And so the next 10 years, I can't wait to see which path you take. It will be interesting.
Well, today's been an aspiration for me. I'm going to be honest and say I've been fangirling you for a while, and I always wondered why. One day David will tap me on the shoulder and I'll get to do that TV interview. So, like, you know,
here it is.
Career highlight. Thank you very much.
And I did ask you about a month or so ago, didn't I, when you were in the, you know, like we were in another situation doing an interview. So there you go. Dianne Toulson, thank you so much for chatting with me today, and thank you for what you do for the arts.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm David Hunt, and yes, I will be back again probably in a month's time. See ya.